everybody always like, oh, he died at the end. I'm like, no, he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
No, he didn't. He got his back broken. That doesn't murder you. Back broken. He's still there.
He can walk that off. It's fine.
Yeah, right. Just just a little Robitussin. That'll work it out. Rub some dirt in it. But yeah, no. Quentin. Sorry, Quentin. Creighton. Creighton is the thing I am most proud about in that movie, from an invention standpoint. It's just, and Stephen Williams is amazing. I mean, he's amazing. What an incredible actor. Honestly, I'd say I like, and again, this isn't about me, but this is about the cast. Getting to Aaron and Billy Greenbush and Stephen Culp and John LeMay. I mean, oh my God, Allison Smith. When I was a kid, she was the one I saw on Broadway in Annie, as Annie.
Amazing.
Like the cast I got. Oh my God, Leslie Jordan. R.I.P. Wow. I mean, the cast is insane. It's insane, that cast. And that was, look, for me, the thing that became most repetitive, and I couldn't agree more with you, Jed. The thing that became most repetitive wasn't just that they were murdering teenagers. Like, great, that's most horror films. God bless. I've spent most of my life murdering teenagers. That's literally what I do. But I got to tell you, it's not that. It's that. Okay. I feel like all of these franchises become threadbare for one reason. The first two movies in most of these franchises are terrifying. They're scary movies. The first Friday 13th is just scary. Not so much now, but it was when it came out. Nightmare on Elm Street is nightmare fueled. It is. Like, I don't know anybody who wasn't terrified of that film. Evil Dead 1, terrifying. I mean, Texas Chainsaw is still, to my money, not only one of the scariest movies ever made, but one of the best films ever made. It is purely unique in a way that no other film can touch it, and mostly because they had no money, and the grime on that film, you could smell that movie. It's so raw. Here's the thing: nobody ever sides with the villain. The villain is the problem. So in the first movie, you are terrified of Freddy. You are terrified of Leatherface. We were terrified of Mrs. Voorhees. And then in part 2, you're really terrified of Jason. I think part 2 is so far superior a movie to part 1. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The acting, the kills, the terror. Like, for me, everything jumps up in that second movie. And the reason is because you don't know the face of fear yet. You are dealing with a shark in the water. No one ever goes to Jaws and roots for the shark. No one. I mean, by part 4, we're kind of rooting for the shark only because the human characters are so bad. We're like, oh, for God's sakes, eat them already.
Yeah.
But by the way, to that end, that's what happens. So by part 2 or 3 of all of these franchises, they go, well, we want to bring the villain back. We want to bring the monster back. Remember, John Carpenter and Sean Cunningham, neither of them wanted to make movies. John didn't want to make movies about Michael Myers. He had no interest. That's why Halloween 3 is the only actual sequel to John Carpenter's Halloween, because he wanted to make movies about Halloween. Sean, who never saw an idea that John Carpenter had that he didn't want to rip off, Sean wanted to make stories of the unluckiest day of the year, right? So you once you've got Jason, well, okay, now we're bringing back the guy. Now, remember, when Sean was told, he was asked to do part 2, right? He was asked, like, come and direct part 2. And Sean said, great, I'd love to. And he wanted to tell another, a different story. And they went, no, we think we should tell the story of that, that Jason guy. And he's like, wait, the kid in the water? The dead kid in the water? Yeah. And they're like, yeah, we think that. And Sean went, oh, that's the stupidest shit I ever heard. And he walked away. He literally walked away. And he got paid for all of them and had to consult on all of them. When they brought him the sack for part 2, he was like, what are we making? Elephant Man, the horror movie? What is this? And then they brought the hockey mask and he was like, oh, I thought the potato sack was stupid. So this guy was not on board for any of this. No. But this is what happens. You turn the villain into the hero. And suddenly the teenagers by what the studio tells you when you're writing these movies is they go, well, you can't make them too great. You can make the one girl interesting, but everybody else, I don't want people to be sad when they get killed. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Yeah. And now it's all about the shark. Well, guess what? That's no longer a horror movie. That's a roller coaster. That's a fun ride, but it's not a horror movie. If you're cheering for the villain, you're missing what a horror movie is. A horror movie is that you're not expecting what's coming next. Friday the 13th is the definition of expecting what comes next. So much so that when I make go ahead. Please.
No, I was just thinking, can you imagine a world where Cropsy becomes Jason? You know, like, I mean, I know there's some overlap there, but like that idea of, you know, the burning 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 Cropsy in space, like, you know, that would be that unthinkable, but it would completely change how you look at that fearsome,
100%.
Horrible, scary character.
By the way, just an Easter egg, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but if you're fans of The Burning, my uncle Ned is one of the leads. Ned Eisenberg is one of the leads of The Burning. He plays Eddie. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my uncle Ned. He passed away a couple of years ago, sadly, from cancer. But he's one of those guys that if you've watched any 3 episodes of Law and Order, you've seen Ned. He's in every 3rd episode, but he's had an incredible career. But The Burning was one of his first movies, and in fact, that same year, my uncle Joe Ellison wrote, directed, and produced "Don't Go in the House."
Oh wow!
So horror was I was cursed. Like there was no way I was going into horror. That was just going to happen. So just a fun Easter egg. So look, I think these franchises suffer from losing their soul to some degree in that they stop being scary. And so for me, with Jason Goes to Hell, which by the way, when people say I retconned the series, no, I didn't. I filled a really dumb hole.
Yes.
That no one ever wants to acknowledge about this series, because I'm sorry, there's a little boy who jumps out of the lake at the end of the movie. I love when people try to retcon that idea. No. That's what happened. Right. And it's a dream boy. No, it's the boy. That's him. That's who attacked her. And 2 weeks later, he's gained 160 pounds of body weight. He's learned to drive, because I don't think he walked through town to Alice's house. He learned to read, because the only way you could find out where someone lived was the white pages back then, right? So you had to look through the phone book to find somebody, right? So he grew all this sentience. This kid with the hydrocephalic head from the 1950s who was murdered, who was drowned in the lake. This is the guy who did all these things. And again, 2 weeks earlier, we saw him that way. Then you just keep moving forward. The number of times he gets hacked up. I mean, I'm sorry, Corey Feldman took his head off at the end of it. There's no head left, right? By part 6, he's a zombie. By part 7, he's fighting Carrie. And in part 8, he takes a boat ride to Canada. So for me, I'm like, wait, if you just make one change, which makes all the sense in the world. If Pamela Voorhees was obsessed with bringing her boy back, if her love for her son was so heavy in her chest, that wouldn't she go to the dark arts? Wouldn't she find a Necronomicon? By the way, for Evil Dead fans out there, there's more than one Book of the Dead. Oh my God. They're always like, that book was in the, it's in the Ozark. No, it was not. Stop. Would Pamela find a way to resurrect her son? By the way, if all you say is that, right? Now, cut to this kid waking up in the bottom of Crystal Lake, right? And terrified. And even though he is now a revenant, a deadite, or whatever you want to call him, now that he has been awoken by this spell, this kid is still the brain of a very handy-capable kid. This is not a well child. And he's stuck in the muck, the mire, under, 30 years of sediment at the bottom of the lake. And one of the first things he sees his mother lakeside, get her head chopped off by this girl. Well, yeah, that would inspire him to float up to the surface, to swim up to the surface and attack her and drag her down.